In the last tutorial, we created this little bike configurator where we can click and hover on spheres, and we can change the material on some object in our scene. In this video, I want to take this a little further, and I want to improve how we set up the materials in Unity, and also make use of our built-in networking features. So I can share this website with a friend, for example, and see what materials they choose and share my configuration. And that is actually super easy. So let's dive right in. So I prepared a little script here, which instead of having 5 spheres and every sphere controls what material is being set, we now only have 1 per object. So for example, I put the script on the frame of my bike, and I assigned some cool materials that I want to switch. So let me export the scene to the web. And as you can see, we now have an HTML element at the top, which is filled with the materials that we assigned in Unity. So for example, I can now change the materials here and see it update on my bike. So let me show you how I did that. I created this little script, and all the script does is it takes an HTML template. This could be anywhere. In my example, I created it as part of my script. So when this script is present in the scene and it has materials assigned, it will create an HTML select element and add it to my website. So let's break it down. The awake method is called when our script becomes active for the first time in the scene. And what we are doing here is we check if we have any materials assigned to our component. This is how we declare the materials. So they show up in Unity. So we can modify them in Unity however we like. Okay, so we check if the materials has any materials. Then we create a new instance of our HTML template. As said before, this could be anywhere, so we could also scan our website for a specific selector like we do here. Okay, so then we get the select element that is part of our template, and we create a new option inside of our select. Then for each material that we have assigned, we create a new option instance and set the index of our material in the array here as the value of the option. Next, we assign the name of the material to the option, so it's visible in the website. And then we append it and just add it to our dropdown. Next, we just save a reference to our select HTML element in the component, and then we update the material once on the bike. OnEnable is called every time when this component becomes active in the scene. In this OnEnable callback, we listen for changes in our select dropdown, and also we add the HTML element to the DOM element. This DOM element is the Needle Engine HTML element. So when you see this context DOM element, well, it's the Needle Engine web component. We subscribe to the change event, and we handle it in the onSelect function that we create as part of our component. And all it does is it gets our HTML select element that we saved and gets the selected index, and we do that down here in update material. We simply get the material from our array, then get the renderer on the object that this component is part of, and then we set the material if we have a renderer. Now, for example, our team could, in Unity, create a new material in the editor, For example, let's create one. We take sweet green, we make it angry red. Why not? And what is angry red? Maybe just super red. And then we assign it to our array of materials, like so. And maybe angry red is also more metallic. We can also preview it by assigning it in Unity like this and check, okay, how rough is the material, and set it so it looks good. We also can preview all our other materials like clear white or hot pink, and maybe, okay, hot pink is not really what we expect, so make it even hotter. And needle green. And when we are ready, we can just click play, export our scene again, and we will see that now angry red is part of our dropdown. And yeah, it's indeed very angry. Let's check hot pink again. Yeah, much hotter. Alright, so in the beginning I mentioned networking. So how can we add networking to this scene? So first of all, what we need is like a connection to our networking backend. And we can do that the easiest way by adding a synced room component to our scene. Let's just export again. And by default, you will notice, okay, now we have this room parameter in the URL. We can modify that from our component if we want to, or we can also handle the connection completely ourselves. But for the sake of this video, let's just keep it that way. Next, what we want to do is store which material is selected. So let's do that by saving selected index, for example. And this is a number, and by default, it's just the first material in the array. In fact, this thing is private because we don't really want or need anyone else to modify it. It's just internal state of the material selector. So it's good practice to make everything private, which is not necessary to be exposed. And now comes the power of Needle Engine. So here we can just add a sync field decorator. And what the sync field decorator does is it networks the value of the field that is assigned here. What does that mean? So whenever selected index changes, this value is changed for everyone that is connected to the same website in the same room. But of course we have to update this index. So we do that whenever our material is supposed to update, or better yet, whenever the user selects the index, we want to set the field to this selected index. And there's one thing missing. We need a way to react to the change from a remote user. And this is also very easy. Let's just create a new method down here and name it private onIndexChanged, for example. And then use the material, select the property, prototype, and select onIndexChanged as the method that should be called. And now we can, first of all, get the index, then update the material using that index so it's visible. And also, since this change is coming from a remote user, we also need to update the index of our HTML element. And Copilot is right. We can just get the select HTML element and set the index as the selected index to update the UI for us as well. And that's already it. So we can save. And when we now go to our website and we change the material, well, let's in fact duplicate this window so we can really see. We see our material is already changed for all the visible windows in our website. And not only that, but also the UI updates accordingly, as you can see on both of our sites. So yeah, this is really easy on how you can network your website and share configurations. Thank you very much for watching, and let me know what else you would like to see.